falling back. Okay, bad things will happen.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 dark horror comedy Death of a Unicorn. The film is written and directed by Alex Schwartzman and it stars Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, Will Poulter, we have Taya Leone, Richard E. Grant, Jessica Hines, Steve Park. Right, okay. Now, the film focuses on Paul Rudd's character and Jenna Ortega's character, Elliot and Ridley. They are father and daughter, and they are heading out to Richard E. Grant's property because he essentially is a lawyer and he's going to kind of go out there, meet the family, because essentially he's going to be becoming like the family lawyer sort of thing, which is a big deal for him because this guy is a billionaire. He also happens to be dying, terminally ill from cancer and very close to dying. So they go out there. Their relationship is fairly strained anyway, Jenna Ortega's and Paul Rudd's. While driving down there, they have an accident and seemingly hit one of the wildlife. When they go and check what it is, it turns out to be a unicorn. They stick it in the car, turn up at the property. Lo and behold, this unicorn emerges, is killed, and they discover that there are all kinds of magical properties associated with this unicorn and its horn, the first of which is curing Richard E. Grant's cancer. They've got wonderful thoughts of all these things they're going to do with this magical creature they've discovered. However, what they don't count on is the fact that its own kind don't take too kindly to humans doing what they've done to their kind, and they decide to hunt them down and take them out fairly brutally. Right, what are my thoughts on Death of a Unicorn? Well, this is an A24 film, so it's got that layer of, I don't know what you'd call it really, bizarreness to it, maybe, I don't know. And it is definitely a bizarre concept, this film. I saw the trailer for this ages ago, and I thought it looked really interesting and fascinating with a cool concept sort of thing, a horror film with unicorns. And essentially, I mean, I've read like interviews with the director and stuff, and he's basically said this is just a creature feature, but it's a monster film, but with unicorns as the monsters. And that's pretty interesting. I don't recall seeing anything like that before. And it works pretty well. Now, what you've also got here is an ensemble cast that kind of really riff on the material that they've been given. You've got here, it's a bit of a mixed bag in regards to the cast. Now, I don't think any of the cast are bad. That's not what I mean. But you've got Will Poulter, who is killing it, really, with the with his character work and his comedy timing here in this film. Comes out with some absolute pearlers. And he's got great natural comedy timing as this guy. And then you've got someone who's even better, Richard E. Grant. One of, I mean, you know, he's known obviously for his wide variety of roles as Richard E. Grant, but he'll always be with Neil to me. And he is an absolutely outstanding comedic actor. And he is wonderfully over the top here as well in this film. And you've got other actors and other characters in this film, kind of scene stealing and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got Paul Rudd, who himself is a very talented comedy actor, who's given very little to do here other than act like the I don't know, the guy who's under the thumb, who won't kind of fight back, stand up for his and his daughter's rights, until the inevitable, you know, as you get in these type of movies, especially American movies, you know, the inevitable, you know, arc that his character goes on, where, you know, he seemingly does at the end. But he's not given anything interesting to do in regards to comedy-wise, Paul Rudd, which I think is a missed opportunity when you've got someone like him in your film. Jenna Ortega as well. I mean, she plays the grumpy teenager role quite well here. I mean, she ain't a grumpy teenager anymore. I suppose you could just about get away with it now. But again, much of the film is her just protesting how grotesque everybody else is and what they're wanting to do to this unicorn. Beyond that, she doesn't offer a great deal else to this film. So you've got some that really are given a lot to do with this material and can shine, and you've got others that don't really. But there is a delight to be had with this film, watching monstrous unicorns slaughtering pretty much everybody that they get their hooves on, I suppose. I mean, they're absolutely vicious, and some of the death scenes in this is very graphic, actually. I didn't expect it to be as graphic as it was going to be, this film. I mean, there's even a scene in it which you can see in the trailer. There's a scene that's ripped straight from Alien, Alien 3, where the alien comes up to Ripley's face and snarls at her and she's like squirming, sort of thing. It's a scene like that with Jenna Ortega, sort of thing, in here as well. It's obviously tipping its hat to, previous monster movies and stuff like that. And they're absolutely relentless and brutal, these unicorns. And they actually do a fairly decent job of giving a little bit of exposition in this thing about, the myths and legends of unicorns that clearly, because there's unicorns here, these myths and legends are actually clearly, in relation to this film, born out of truth. So, she's doing this research and explaining to everybody, unicorns, and essentially, yes, they are magical, wonderful creatures until you cross them. And if you cross them, or try and do their species harm, then you've had it. Lo and behold, you've really, really had it. And I do think this film kind of portrays that very, very well indeed. So yeah, there are some fun comedic moments in this. Like I say, it's not a laugh out loud giggle-thon or anything, but there are some fabulous one-liners in this, and like I say, I think Will Poulter and Richard E. Grant really do stand out here as with some really strong moments in the film in regards to the comedy. I also as well want to mention Anthony Carrigan, who is essentially the manservant, if you like, of Richard E. Grant and his family. And he gets some really cool, fun moments in the film as well. There's a really fun scene where they're trying to decide who's going to go out, and I think they're trying to get to a vehicle or something like that. I can't just remember exactly why. And they're all trying to vote on who's going to do it, and basically Richard E. Grant nominates him because he's his manservant, and he basically turns around and says, "After everything I've done for you," kind of thing. I mean, they do it different than that. But it was just kind of like, I can't believe that, that you would just say, go and do it, sort of thing. But, yeah, this surprised me a little bit. I thought it was going to be one of those, sometimes, some of the A24 films can be a little bit pretentious. They try and be sometimes a little bit too arty for their own good, maybe. But this one, if you like, I think it's fairly self-aware. It's got a fun, interesting concept. It doesn't lean too heavily into the comedy, only at times, and it's more, I don't know really. It's more parody at times when they start messing around with the comedy, and then when it leans into the horror as well, I think that works quite well too. So it blends the two quite well, but it doesn't overly lean heavily into either of them. It just has got a nice balance. So while I don't think this is going to, blow anybody away or anything like that, I do think it's got some interesting ideas going for it, and I had a pretty decent time watching it, even if it is a bit daft at times. So yeah, that's my review for Death of a Unicorn. Let me know your thoughts if you've seen the film, and I will of course be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.